our client now, who's already been rejected by multiple lawyers, now has a pathway forward for his case. If you would like to go to our website, texascaraccidents.com, you could answer 5 questions to see if you have a case, and one of our friendly experts simplifying Texas car accidents will be there for you. We have a pretty crazy case right now that will show you that if you flip over every stone possible, sometimes you end up finding an insurance policy or some type of pocket to go after. This case came across my desk. This individual told me that he had a previous lawyer that could not find insurance on his case, so he dropped his case. This individual then went and called and knocked on a bunch of other lawyers' offices, and they all denied his case and rejected it because they didn't think that there was a pathway forward. They didn't think that there was a possible insurance policy to go after, or they just didn't want to spend the time and energy and money to investigate this to see if there was. Now, I'm the type that if anything comes across my desk, I'm flipping over every stone possible. So let me tell you about this really incredible, probably in the over decade that I've been doing this, this is probably the most exciting one that worked out to have insurance policy available when no one else thought that there was. This individual was rear-ended on a street. His car then went off the road, hit a tree. The car caught on fire, and this individual was seriously injured. Now, the person that was driving the vehicle that caused the accident did not have auto insurance. And when we got the accident report confirmed that this driver or vehicle did not have auto insurance. And now I'll tell you, I would say 95% plus of the time that if the police put on the accident report that there's no insurance, that's usually the case. Now, in this circumstance, we decided to hire an outside research company because there are companies out there that could try to run traces to see if an individual has auto insurance. We hired this company to see if they could find a policy for this vehicle or for this driver, and they came back with a policy. I was actually completely shocked when the results came in and they're like, yeah, actually call this insurance company right here. They should have a policy for it. So I'm like, all right, this research company has messed up before in the past, but I'm going to see it through. So I call the insurance company and they say, we don't have that vehicle and we don't have that driver. However, we do see another name that could be associated with the driver of that vehicle. So then I had to do my own investigative work to find out that the owner of the vehicle was someone different than the driver. Then I told the insurance company the name of the owner of the vehicle, and they're like, is there a possible different last name? So I ran further research to find out that the owner of the vehicle had just been married recently, so her name had changed, and she had an insurance policy under her married name. And for whatever reason, the police weren't able to determine whether the vehicle had insurance or not, maybe because of the name kind of crossed through their system, or this other thing that we found out where she had recently moved. So it's very likely that the vehicle was in one specific address in a different state, and then when she moved to Texas, the vehicle and her married name didn't show up in the police system, so the police report showed no insurance when there actually was insurance on the car. So we see it through, and the insurance company tells us, well, on our end, we don't see that the vehicle that was being driven at the time is on this policy, so it's likely going to be denied. Do you still want to file the claim? I told them, yes, absolutely. I want to still file the claim because I'm going to see this through and I'm going to get a denial from the insurance company if that's truly what they believe is the case here. So we send in the notice, we file the claim, and a couple days later, we get a letter that says, liability is accepted, coverage is accepted. We have an active policy here, and our client now, who's already been rejected by multiple lawyers, now has a pathway forward for his case. What we think happened is similar to what we think happened with the police, where because this person just had moved to the state and they had just married, there were things that got crossed over at the insurance company where when I was doing the intake, the person at the company didn't think that there was a pathway forward, but then they probably were able to look a little bit closer to some new information that was on the insurance policy, and then they checked it off that there was available coverage. This was just so incredible, really, and I was so thankful for the person that we signed up, because they were seriously injured. I mean, they had broken legs, they had over $500,000 in medical bills. Like, this was such a really terrible situation for this person. He was in a wheelchair and there was no pathway forward for him, but then we were able to find a pathway forward, and that was just greatly encouraging. I'm glad that we were able to help this person. Now, I just mentioned that he had $500,000 in medical bills, and we found an insurance policy. So there is a further question of the kind of limits that are available on that insurance policy. I was actually surprised once again in this case when we got the results back that said that there was $100,000 in policy limits. So when you have a case like this where you have over $500,000 in medical bills and there's only $100,000 policy limits, most of the time the insurance company will just say, here you go, I'm not even going to fight with you on this. This guy was clearly injured. He clearly has an incredible amount of medical bills that go above our policy limits. So here's our policy limits. Okay, so that's a great first start, but now you have a $100,000 settlement, but you have over $500,000 in medical bills. So the next step that you need to take is you need to go back to all of those medical providers and ask them for reductions on the bills so that you can get the medical bills below the policy limits to pay for all the medical bills, pay for the legal fees, and then to also walk away with a pain and suffering settlement, which you absolutely deserve if you've been through a situation like this. Now, we were able to do exactly that in this case for our client. As I mentioned, he had over $500,000 in medical bills, but we were able to get those bills down to around $30,000, which means he had a $100,000 settlement and now only around $30,000 in medical bills. All of a sudden, because this client got a good law firm involved that was able to help him with this case, he is going to walk away with pain and suffering settlement with all of his medical bills paid for and the legal fees paid for. And we are just very blessed and happy for this gentleman to move forward in the next part of his life. I hope that this video was helpful to you. You can go to our website, texascaraccidents.com, and find out a load of information of everything that you would need to know about Texas car accidents, and you can answer 5 questions to determine if you have a case, and one of our friendly experts in simplifying Texas car accidents will be there for you.